Hey everyone, it's Kelsey. This is Essentially Book. Thank you for stopping by my channel, and I'm making a very slow return to BookTube, like very slow. So I'm here, slowly recording. I'm gonna do Bookmas, so that's like my one commitment. That'll be like 12 videos in a row, so you guys will get me back, and then I'll be back in the swing of filming and readjusting. I started my new job about a month ago. I love it. I'm home 100% of the time now. I'm doing what I do. Like, it is just night and day better for my mental health. So all that to say, I started my job in June, my old job, and then started this new job in November. I stopped filming book wrap-ups in July. So that was my last one for Book Math. And so I'm going to start with August on forward. And there's quite a few books in here, but you guys are just going to hang out with me while we kind of go from there. Okay. So I have a lot of these books that I've been holding on to, haven't sold on Pango yet. A lot of these will be listed on Pango once I'm done for the most part. But yeah, let's get started. So I'm just gonna I'm not even gonna really do star ratings unless I can think of them, because I have so many books. I've got at least 36 books to talk about in this video, at least 36, no, 39. Okay, so we will get started. The first book I read back in August that I loved, contender for one of the better books of the year, probably, The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. I've listened to some podcasts with her. She's just delightful, but basically she got a crush on a historical figure and wrote a book because of that crush. Like, she saw a picture of this guy during this famous voyage, General Commander Graham Gore, and decided, hey, I'll write a book on him. And so this is a time travel romance, but it kind of is like in the vein of Babel, in that there's a lot of commentary on like colonialism, changing history, etc. Really fun read. I really, really liked it. And then I read the book American Fire. This was an old book of the month I wanted to get off my shelf. This was like a true crime book about an arson that was happening in North Carolina, I believe. It's been a while. The first half of the book read really great, like true crime. And then the back half sounded like the author was trying to make a lot of thoughts and opinions on like why rural people act the way that they do, and there were a lot of generalizations. It got really boring, and she was trying to write it almost like a thriller, and the way she revealed how the crime happened while interspersed with all this like thoughts about like sociology and stuff, it just didn't work for me. Okay, and then the next book I read was Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is my first Sally Rooney. I talked about this in a vlog where I went back and forth on whether I liked it or not, and ultimately, I think this is a 4-star read. I've thought about it a ton. I tried to watch the Hulu show, didn't love it. These are very unlikable characters. They make very questionable choices. Could have just communicated the whole time. But it was really real. And I don't know, there's just something about this book that I did really like. So I will read more of Sally Rooney in the future. This was just a nice little shock to me because I really did enjoy it. And then the next book I read was His Study in Scandal by Megan Frampton. This was a review copy I had on NetGalley. It's a older female heroine falling in love with a younger man, pretty spicy, but not my favorite Megan Frampton. So just a good run-of-the-mill historical romance that I really enjoyed. Next, I listened to All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the Murderbot series, and I will continue on in this series. It is super fun. It's a sentient AI, like robot that kills people, kind of like a spy assassin, but he becomes sentient and like wants to not do that. It was really fun. Very short, easy audiobook. Next, I read Serpent on the Wings of Night, which, oh my goodness, was so good. And I need to read the sequel because it leaves you on a cliffhanger. I've started it, but then things happen. I don't know why I haven't read it. I need to get to that. But really fun romantasy. I'm not really going to talk a lot about it because I can't really, like, there's just spoilers if I talk. Next is Democracy in Retrograde. This is a really good book if you're looking for ways to get involved and you're not very political minded. I love politics. I am not the norm. I really like being involved, but this book makes it very accessible. It teaches things about like how the government works, little ways you can make an impact in your own front yard. It is more left-leaning, but I do think it's just a very valuable, awesome book. I really, really liked it. And then my book club read My Lady Jane. There's a show on Amazon, fantastic, super mad that it got canceled. This is just a laugh out loud retelling of Lady Jane Grey. It is just laugh out loud funny. I wasn't expecting the magic in it, and just what a joy. I haven't read anything else. I don't know if I will, but I did have a lot of fun with that book. And then the next book is The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali, and I loved her first book, The Stationery Shop. This book was no different. She writes books set in Iran, like around their revolutions. And I learned so much because in our Western world, we don't learn these things. But just this one especially it's about the power of friendship and like what trauma can do to a person. And despite your friends and your family doing everything right, trauma can still just really impact you. It is a lovely, lovely book. I flew through it. Look up trigger warnings if you are going to read this though. And then up next, I read Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan. I do really like Patty Callahan. This is about Joy and C.S. Lewis's romance. The author has a relationship with C.S. Lewis's family, so she was like privy to a lot of things, and I thought it was really well done. This was a really old Kindle book that I'd had that I just wanted to get off my shelf, and because I love this author, I thought, okay, this would be a good time to read this, but did really enjoy it. I want to learn more about C.S. Lewis, read more of his work because I really haven't, which is bad, I know, but it was a really, really good book. Okay, next one was Shark Heart, also in the running for one of the better books of the year that I've read. This book looks at grief and motherhood and has weird magical realism where people in this iteration of the world have genetic mutations that turn them into animals, and the main character, her husband, is turning into a great white shark, and like you watch him transform and like what it does to their marriage, what it does to their family, what grief looks like. I adored this book and the short chapters. I know this book isn't going to be for everyone, but truly, like, I could not love it more. Oh my gosh, it just truly loved it. And then I listened to Ne'er Do Well on audio from Libro, but I also have it on NetGalley, and this was by Alexandra Vasti. Kind of a fun romance in that the hero is from New Orleans, and he finds out like his long lost father or whatever, he's a duke, so he moves to England and he's taken under the wing by the heroine, who runs a sexy little book library that passes around literature to women so that they can learn how to be like, you know, in control of their bodies. Such a fun book. I really enjoyed it, and I will read the next few books in the series because I liked the cast of characters. And then my book club, another one I'm in two book clubs, read The Chosen by Shame Potok. And this book I had never heard of. It's one of my friend Sarah's favorite books of all time. And this is about two boys in different sects of Judaism in the 1940s in New York City. They should be, one is more secular, one is extremely devout. And the devout boy, the pressure put on by his father is just so foreign to the other boy and the friendships. It was just a beautifully written book. About friendship. It's a classic. I highly recommend this. It reads really well, really easy. And I've been thinking about it forever. Like, oh, it's incredible. And I guess there's a second book to this, which I'll have to pick up. But this was like such a surprise as far as like a book that was totally off my radar that just blew me away. And then I read a really fun book called Truly Madly Magically by Hazel Beck. This is the third book in that series. This is kind of like a Gilmore Girls meets practical magic type series. I was really excited for this. It's like a magical pregnancy. Everything's coming to head in this third and final book in the series. Maybe it's not the third and final. I think there's going to be one more. Really fun. Just was what I needed at that time. And then my book club read The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, and not a lot happens in this book. It's literally a nurse watching another little girl who apparently like isn't eating, or like, and they're claiming it's a miracle from God, and like what really happens. It gets pretty dark towards the end. It was okay. Like, not one I didn't like love, but I didn't hate. It was just fine, but it was another book of the month that's very old that I got off my shelf. And then that same book club, I read these books pretty fast in a row. Dennis Lahan's Shutter Island, it was my pick. This year for book club, we did books that have been adapted into movies. So like we did The Wonder, we did My Lady Jane. This is Shutter Island. I had seen the movie, but didn't remember anything of it. This book was super fun to read. Just a fast thriller, psychological, gave me the creeps a few times, but was really, really fun. And then I knocked out another book from Libro FM Audio that I was also sent so kindly by the publisher a long time ago by William Morrow. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. This book read like a fever dream, kind of fairy tale-ish retelling. I don't remember much about it, so yeah, that's all I got for you. And then I listened to Mountains Made of Glass by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a romantasy, Beauty and the Beast retelling. Really liked it. Very spicy. That's about all I got for you. And then I read The Examiner by Janice Hallett. And this is probably not my favorite. I didn't love the Twyford Code. This was better than that, but I didn't love the characters. I loved the appeal and the Christmas appeal. She writes mysteries that are like mixed media format, so super fun. Definitely fun read. Glad I did it. Got it off my NetGalley shelf. And then I finally finished my reread of the ACOTAR series, so now I'm going to go into Crescent City. This book still is just, I love Cassian and Nesta. I love the world building in this. I just love all the work that Nesta goes through. I just really need Azriel and Elaine. That's all I need right now. So yeah. And then read The Wedding Witch, which was NetGalley, third book in the series by Erin Sterling. I don't really remember a lot about this one, so that's cool. And then my other book club, we read Crossing to Safety, which is one of my favorite books of all time by Wallace Stegner. This is a book about like two sets of friends and their friendship over the years. It's the perfect book to read in the fall because it's very atmospheric. They go to a cabin in Vermont, like in the fall. It takes place on campuses because they meet at the University of Wisconsin. It is just a really lovely, quiet novel that I adore. And then for a fun book, this was kind of like around the election, you know, is Stanley Tucci's What I Ate in 1 Year. I did this on audio, but I also bought a physical copy because I love him. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if you can see him. I have my own version of Stanley Tucci. He's cardboard. My friend works at Dog-Eared Books, and so she got this display when the books came in and then gave it to me because she knows how much I love Stanley Tucci. Like, he's like my hall pass crush that's blandly handsome. If you follow Annie B. Jones, it's a thing. I love him. This book was super fun, escapist, exactly what I needed. I love it. Fun. So on my forever shelf because I just adore him anyways as a person. And then I knocked out The Co-op by Tara DeWitt, which is just a romance. It's like second chance. These two people, their grandmothers fall in love and die like separately. And then they leave this house to the two kids because they know their grandchildren. They know that they're meant to fall in love, and they're like they're not related. I think that makes sense somewhere, but anyways, they're not related, but they're meant to fall in love. It's fun. I'm excited to read more by this author because she is laugh out loud funny. And then next I read, this is one of my 24 and 24s. Louise Penny's A World of Curiosities. This is the most recent book. She has a new one that just came out that I don't have, so not the most recent, but this one had a very dark storyline, like very dark, and she's getting darker, I've noticed in some of her books. I really liked this one. So I think this one like was stressful. It had a really well thought out plot. All of the books take place in this like Three Pines world. And I'm kind of at that point where it's like, you're suspending disbelief because like not all these things can happen in this one tiny town, but it does. But I don't care because I love her writing. I love the characters and the journey we've been on with them that I will just inhale anything. Just part of, you know, the nature of Louise Penny. Election week, I read Democracy Awakening by Heather Cox Richardson. And this book is, I think everybody should read it. It's so good. Heather Cox Richardson is an incredibly talented historian, but she writes about like the rise of authoritarianism and fascism in the United States, how democracy has responded. And reading this the night of the election, I do not recommend because we have not learned, and we're in dire straits right now as a country. So a really, really good book. Highly recommend if you just want to educate yourself a little bit more from like a really good historian who does a really nice job like taking the past and comparing it to today. She's just a fantastic writer. And then I read Lenora Bell's Duke Most Wicked, and I really liked this one. I want to keep reading more from this series, but this is about like a wealthy, well, he's a duke and he needs to save his ducal estate. He has 5 sisters he needs to marry off. They have a musician like tutor, and she is like writing her own musicals and stuff under her father's name, but really it's her. It's just a really fun romance. I really, really enjoyed this. And then I finally, another 24 and 24, knocked Scythe off my list. My husband's rereading it again, but this was super fun. I cannot wait to read the next in the series. This is about when the world, like people stop dying, they've conquered death, but we still need to cull the population. And it looks at like the ethics of like, how do you make that choice? And 2 kids are learning how to be scythes, like they're apprentices, and learning different styles of killing. It just really blew me away. So I'm going to continue on in this series for sure. I knocked another 24 and 24 off. I've gotten 3, which is nice. think I'm not going to do very hot in my 24 and 24, spoiler alert. So I read The Magnolia Palace by Fiona Davis. I'd read The Address. I liked The Address a lot better, but this is about like two women in different timelines all in the same house and kind of how everything plays together with art. In this art, there's like a scavenger hunt, all this stuff. It was fun. I liked it, but it wasn't the best I'd read by her. Okay guys, 3 more. So next I read one of my most anticipated books of the year, which is Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez. And this book did everything I wanted it to do. Is it the best like series ever? No. But was it what I needed after the election? 100% yes. Egyptian archaeology, excavating, intrigue, mystery, murder, romance, loved it. It's not open door, so there's that if you're into that. Not open door, but I did really, really like this. And then I read Wild Eyes from Kindle Unlimited, which was by Elsie Silver. I don't remember anything of it. It's a rock star that falls in love with a dad. Works for me. I like Elsie Silver's books. And then finally, I read A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. And if you know, this is just a really hard book to describe. It is a romance set on leap year with the Harlem Renaissance involved. And it just was fun. I get why a lot of people loved it. It just, there were parts of it that didn't work, but I also didn't really identify with the characters, and I think that that has a lot to do with it for me. But it is a very lovely book. Tia Williams is a great writer. Definitely enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all the books I read in my break from YouTube. I'm not reading a lot right now. I've only read 2 books so far this month. So it's going really great. But yeah, that's a lot. I'm tired. I'm gonna go eat lunch. And yeah, I will see you guys around Bookmas.